And I would just like to say, welcome to Live from Western New York. Here we are with our leadership team. And I see Ken on from First Priority Mortgage, as well as Kathy and Matt Whitehead. And our co-host today to share some words of wisdom will be Lou. So we're excited to bring you a really great presentation. And I'd like to say welcome to our newest Howard Hanna Realtors who have joined us in the past week, to include Maria, Diane, Phil, and Elizabeth, and the balance of the new agents and experienced agents who have joined us over the course of the last 30 days. It's hard to believe that our first quarter of 2023 is about to come to an end. And it's so important that we all, step back, take a look at our business, take a look at our business planning. Are we where we want to be? And what could we possibly do to, if we're not, to get back on track? And so I encourage you to sit down and do a brainstorming session with either your manager or your mentor or an experienced agent who, is willing to sit and brainstorm on new ideas. But I'm hoping after today, Lou will give us some inspiration and talking points as well. And as you know, one of our goals during the Monday call is to familiarize you with different markets throughout the Western New York area, including all of Rochester and Buffalo. So this morning, our office spotlight is with Chuck from Irondequoit. I believe I'm saying it correctly. It's a mouthful, but Chuck's going to share some interesting information on his particular market. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks, Charlene.
So what do you have for us, Chuck?
Well, all right. So Irondequoit, you pronounced it perfectly. Well done. It's not easy to do. And Irondequoit, what a fun word. It means where land meets water. Think it's very, you could be French when you said it, Irondequoit, if you wanted to pronounce it that way. It's from the Iroquois, though, the Seneca tribe of the Iroquois. This area was known as, again, we're surrounded by water on three sides here in Irondequoit. So it has a heavy influence in our area. So I'm excited, though. This was a great opportunity, a chance to get around Irondequoit and feature some of our local notable spots. And with one, though, I think takes the cake in particular, you'll see from the presentation. We have a really busy market. Irondequoit is fully built. There's no new development. If you want to build a house, you got to tear one down first. We're a mature area, but it's a very diverse market. We sell about 800 homes per year turnover in Irondequoit, and with a price range anywhere from 50,000 up to about $1 million, $1.2 million. We, again, being on the water, we have some waterfront properties that are breathtaking and would be at the top of anybody's market. So.
Great, thank you. Are we going to share Chuck's little video that he put together for us on his area?
Can you guys all see it?
No.
It's stuck on the slide with my face, which we got to move on.
Hang on 1 second.
You can't look at that for too long.
I am very sorry.
It's a wonderful photo. I love it.
Do you see it now?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
It was windy yesterday, so I apologize in advance. Oh, you might not have shared the audio on your share settings.
Okay. Let's see. We'll start this again. Share screen.
All right. So Irondequoit, you got to come up to Irondequoit. This is a really cool area. It looks like maybe I'm coming back here. Here we go.
Kind of in the Seabreeze area, close to the park. Hey, speaking of Seabreeze, that's where we're going to go next. Follow me. Here I am at the world famous Jackrabbit roller coaster, which is the 4th oldest wooden roller coaster in the world, the 2nd oldest in the United States, and I think I saw on Wikipedia it said the oldest continuously operating roller coaster in the country. Amazing. Wooden roller coaster, originally built in 1930. The world famous Jackrabbit here at Seabreeze Amusement Park in Irondequoit, New York. Come check it out. All right, you know, I got to give an honorable mention to I Square and the Imaginarium. This place is super cool. If it's a great place to come and have lunch over in I Square. It's an open eating style. It's kind of, it's not exactly a food court, but it's mini restaurants within one big open space. They share a common place to sit down and enjoy your food. And one of the coolest things about it, quite frankly, is that it is right next to. Here's our stage. Let me see if we're in camera here. Oh yeah, there we go. Cool. So this is a great spot in the summer for cons. In the summer, we go from this to this. Which is a free concert to the public. All right, my last two places were pretty cool, but they're no house guitars. If there's one place you've got to visit when you come to Irondequoit, it is the world famous House Guitars. This is the place that people, musicians especially from all over the country, all over the world, make visitations, whether you want to call it a pilgrimage, whatever. Whenever they're playing a concert, a gig in and around Rochester, they often make a stop here at the House of Guitars. This place is incredible. Originally opened in 1964. It was really a neat story. There's really some, you know, the Rochester Democrat Chronicle did a really nice comprehensive piece on the store in 2021. I'm going to link it below in the chat. You should visit the link and check it out. Read the story. There's great stories from bands that have come to the House Guitars and told their story. There's a really fun story from Metallica of how they came here when, you know, they actually recorded their very first album here in Rochester over a period of a couple weeks, and they were down the street. Are you okay? Oh my gosh. I don't. That was a little crazy. So yeah, so there's great stories. Again, Metallica, there's a great story about them. You should check it out. There's a really good story from Sheryl Crow when she had a gig in Buffalo in 2013. I don't want to spoil the story for you and tell you what happened, but it's a really great article. Just go onto YouTube and put in House of Guitars, and I think you'll really enjoy it. And of course, when you're in Irondequoit, you got to stop by, check things out. Hey there, everybody. This is our office, Howard Hanna, Irondequoit, where land meets water. Come check us out. After you paid your visit to the House of Guitars, just come right down the street and visit us in our office. Gina, I'm calling you out. You always say how you guys make these little trips. Go check out other offices. I think you need to come to Irondequoit. All right? I can't wait to see you guys, and I hope everybody has a great week. Take care, everybody. Cheers.
Very nice. Hey, Chuck, I sent you a message and said that you should.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. Okay, sorry.
I sent you a message and said that you should pop that up on your office webpage, because I think there's a lot of really great information there. And I think that you know, agents should take note, because obviously doing a video like that of your market would be great on everyone's webpage. You know, inviting the consumer that's visiting your page to, you know, to learn more about the market that you happen to be in. And if you need help with it, I'm sure Chuck would be happy to help out. So,
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thanks
Great.
a lot.
And so let me just move this forward, and let's introduce Lou, who's going to share some great words of wisdom. Morning,
Well,
Lou.
good morning, everyone. Nice job, Chuck. I grew up in Irondequoit, so I know all those hot spots. And they're all still standing, and they're all well visited. So hopefully that young lady who fell was okay, and everybody was able to be safe. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about today, Helen sends out her Monday morning minutes every week, and this week when she sent them, I looked at it, and it kind of played into what I was thinking about talking about today. And when you only open once, and when you think about that, what is that? What does that mean? And to me, it meant, first impressions are everything, and she also said in there, if you're always prepared for success, it will always come your way. And I think that's so true. And I think, the more we prepare, the more we get ready with the things that are coming up. I think it's so important that we look at it that way, that we just can't wing things anymore. You have to be able to, educate yourself, because it's an important part of each and every market, but especially right now, what's going on in this market and what we're seeing as agents. We have a competitive situation going on out there, right? So people are aggressively trying to get the most amount of money for their house. There's a lack of inventory. So again, if you're not educating yourself and strategizing with your manager every time you have an appointment, whether it's a buy or a sell, I think those are things that we have to continuously do. And remember, she also said in there to remember that you being the smartest person in the room, when you're helping buyers. And I agree with that, but I also agree that you also need to be the smartest person in the world when you're sitting down with a seller and trying to let them know and educate them. I took a couple buyers out this weekend, and this is a past client of mine who called me. She wanted to go see a house, and we went and showed it. We talked about it, and she was talking about, her house and what she thought it was worth. And, she's talking to me about the neighbors down the street who sold last year, and she's telling me the price point. And I just looked at her and I shook my head and I said, those price points are old, right? That's not the price points that we're seeing now. And when I started to throw a few numbers at her to talk to her, her eyes kind of bugged out of her head, because again, they are not doing this every day, every week. Yes, they're reading the local papers, they're online, they're seeing prices. They understand that buyers are paying more, but for some reason, it didn't resonate with her that, she would get more for her house. So again, and she's this young lady is an educated lady, so it's not like she's somebody who's not and understands, but it just doesn't register. And I think, when you look at it, that's kind of what brings me back to what I wanted to talk about today was, the property review presentations that we've come up with as a company and then we've gone after. Again, it's not just a contest that we're trying to promote. What it is, it's something that we're trying to instill in agents as being a way to do business, a way to build business. And I still always go back to this whole NAR statistic with, 90% of the buyers who bought with an agent would use them again, but only 17% do. And I always say to myself, why is that? Why is that, that number is so high and people had such a good experience, but no one reaches back out to their agent? Or is it really their agent really doesn't reach back out to them? And I think, this property review presentation program that we have is just a vehicle. It's a vehicle to get agents to stay more in contact with their sellers. And I think that it's very important, because if you're not being their trusted advisor in real estate, then you are just, somebody who helped them purchase a house. So, just like anything else, we all have financial advisors that we talk to and try to figure out what the market's doing and what we should do with our money, and I think it's a great idea, having the ability to reach out to your sellers on a yearly basis and talk to them about, what their particular investment is doing in the market right now. All right. And if you do it year over year, then it helps you stay in contact with them. Now, you can, we've talked about this with other agents and other managers, and I know that some people say, well, you can email them something or send them something in the mail. And I think those are all great ideas. But what's the follow-up, right? If I send something in an email, am I calling the client and saying, did you get my email? I'd like to talk to you about it. Do you have time to sit down? Or if you're really good on the phone and you can strike up a good conversation, then you can ask for some things, right? And some of those things that you're asking for is just to find out what's going on in their life, what's going on the street. Again, and if you make the appointment and you go to the house, you get a better understanding of, you can see that there's a garage sale coming. You can see that, neighbors have a dumpster out in front of their house. And that's questions that you could be asking your seller, what's going on your street. And I can tell you that the market's definitely increasing. You can talk a little bit more about the market, but I think if you do that, I think it's helpful for you to understand that you're making contacts with your client, but you're also finding out like a referral opportunities. And again, they're always ready to help you, find business. But if you're not staying in contact with them, it's hard for them to refer you. And I think, even with the people that you meet with, because I know I've talked to a lot of agents that are like, well, I sold somebody a house 2 years ago and they're not going to sell because they got a great interest rate and so on and so forth. And I say to them, I said, yeah, but you're assuming all that. And again, if you go into that mindset that you're assuming what's going on with all your clients and you really don't know, I think it puts you at a disadvantage, because there's other people that they're talking to. If they're going out to dinner with somebody and all of a sudden say, oh yeah, my agent said this and so on and so forth. And I don't talk to my agent, so I really don't know. So I think you can help them plan ahead. So even if you sold someone a house a year ago, you can kind of find out from them how things are going. Do you like the house you're living in? Again, maybe they had a child, maybe, they have to take on a parent, what does that look like? So, hey, Lou, in the next 2 years, we're going to think about maybe either putting an in-law or we're going to get a bigger house, or we're going to do something. Okay, so you make notes. And then when you follow up the following year, those are the things that you talk about. So I think a lot of that has to be motivated towards, the market that we're in. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about today? I think you should always be able to maximize your opportunities that are in front of you. And I think that's an important part of what we're seeing right now. And these property reviews, as I said earlier, it's a vehicle. You can use whatever you want. You just have to find ways to stay in contact with your client, especially in this market. Our listing inventory is starting to creep up, as we're all seeing. Okay, but we are struggling a little bit with, the buyers. And I know that I've talked to a lot of agents who tell me that, they're writing, I was in the Henriette office last week, and one of the agents told me that he's written 36 offers for a buyer already. Okay. I mean, that's a lot of time taking. So I would say sit with your manager, strategize a price point, and understand, the township you're in, so that, when you're writing, you give your client the best opportunity to win. And I think that's what we have to start looking at is that. And that's really all I have for you guys today. Charlene?
Great, thanks, Lou. Lou, you mentioned Helen's minutes that she sends out, and I hope that people take a minute to just glance at those, because there's some great information in there that she shares with us. And, I particularly like what you said about the NAR statistics. And, that's been the case for years and years and years. And we have so many great ways to communicate with our clients and customers. But several weeks ago, when we talked about reviews, Matthew made a point that really, and you made the same point again today, that while the reviews are very valuable to send out to clients and customers, I think that the phone call, or the pop by is even more valuable prior to the review going out. So I think that was, a good point that's been repeated time and time again on these Monday calls, that I think it's so important to make that connection. And in one of the videos that I believe it was Hottie Hannah sent out, he made a great point about people who made a move during COVID. I mean, during COVID, some people made decisions based on their needs, maybe having a home office or working in a different environment, and now they're reassessing those decisions. So you made a great point in that we don't know until we talk to people what's happening in their life, relocation. People are calling their workers, their employees back into the offices. So things are shifting, things are changing. And I think that, what you have said truly resonated with me. So thank you so much for those words of wisdom, Lou. And let's turn it over to Ken now for some information on First Priority and what's happening out there, Ken.
Thank you, Lou. I thought your remarks were spot on. And, you can text, you can email, you could put a social media, but when you call someone and said, hey, tell me your thoughts, and you listen, that's a game changer. And I think when we do that, especially in our business, And what I'd like to do and what I try to do every week is to give everyone a couple of takeaways. And today I have 2 takeaways that I want all the agents and mortgage consultants to understand and use in your conversations with customers. And I think, you know, we all hear, I heard this is happening, and you get that all the time. So if you go, yeah, so this is what I want to share with people. There's an inflation is having a downward trend. Okay, there's a momentum downward. Now, when you go to your customers and they're looking at houses, oh, prices keep going up, prices keep going up. I wanted to share 4 things that probably everybody on this call is affected by. And I'm going to just explain it in the most simplest terms. This is the indexes that trade on the open market, okay? And it's lumber futures. Now, don't worry about what is 859. Don't worry about what is 411. That's the contract for futures. The previous high was over double where lumber prices are now. And it was called like a lean board of lumber. I don't know what the heck that means. I had to get a little post to fix my mailbox at Home Depot, and I had to do it probably during COVID. And it was a bad experience. I call my son, I'm like, do you know a fence post costs like, you know, a little post, just put my mailbox in, it was like $70. And he goes, yeah, wait a few months. I go, well, I got to get the mail. So I had to get it. But if you go to do that same transaction now, anybody that buys a 2x4, a piece of plywood, prices are down. Oil prices, the previous high in oil, $100. And I did this on March 24th. Anybody looking today, it's like $72. This was as of March 24th. You've seen gas prices come down. Gas prices affect everything that's transported across the country. That's why all the other prices are high. But when you look at stuff, I bought a 6-pack of Perrier water. Now they import this from France, and I calculated it out, and it was like $1.75 a can. And I'm thinking, how are they able to make that? It's probably canned in the United States, but it says it's a product of France. But when you look at all the travel it has to take, that's affected us. The 10-year Treasury yield. The 10-year Treasury, if anything, if people can just understand that mortgage rates are tied to this through government, through Ginnie Mae securities, Fannie Mae, and the secondary market mortgage-backed securities. But the Treasury yield is down a full percent over its 12-month high. Our mortgage rates, we were locking people within the last month in the 7s. We've been locking people in the high 5s recently. When you're out talking to your customers, well, where would I go? Listen, we have so many buyers for your house right now, and rates are at probably the lowest level we've seen in the last 6 months. But I heard they're going up. You can't believe everything that you're hearing because the markets trade on a daily basis. Anybody that drinks coffee out there, the high for the coffee bean futures was 228. It's 175. I don't know if that's going to like kick in at Starbucks or Dunkin' or Tim Hortons, because usually when that goes up, it takes a long time to come down. But I wanted to share with people that we are at lower levels on many of the things that touch our lives on a daily basis. Okay. So when you're talking to people, and other economists will say, yeah, but there's other indices that are super, super high. Totally granted. But overall, we're starting to see a drop in prices. Okay. And then the second, so the first point is when people tell you, well, rates are going up. No, the trend is going to be going down. Our Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, 10-year Treasury, they're all betting on a rate cut this year because of all the complications of the banks that are in trouble based on the investments they made. So mortgage rates have been trending down. They're still on a wild ride. We're going to see wild gyrations. The second point, anybody that is in a home, and to Lou's point, well, I'm going to keep my home. We're going to rehab it. Okay, how are you going to do that? I'm going to go out and get a home equity line of credit. Okay. Many banks have changed. A home equity line of credit is based on the prime rate. The prime rate is not the 10-year Treasury yield. Banks set prime rate usually about 3% higher than the Fed funds rate. Many banks are going to 8% on the prime rate. That's high. I agree. That's a high rate. So if you're going to go out and get a home equity line of credit that's tied to prime, and after your introductory period, you are at 8%. So now you're going to say, Mr. Seller, if I got people that want to buy your house and can get in the high 5s, If I can find you that dream home and let me start shopping now, and we have a cash advantage, we have a buy before you sell, we can get you in at a lower level. You're going to do a rehab or you want to do improvements, use a home equity line of credit, 8% is a high rate. So two things to take away. Prices are going down, mortgage rates have been in our favor. And secondly, if people are you're going to get a listing or they're saying, I don't know where to go, but I'm going to stay here in rehab, ask them how are they going to get the money for it. And if they say a home equity line of credit, prime rate is at 8%. That's high. That's what I got for you today. I hope it helps, and tie it into what Lou said. Have those conversations with people, ask them their thoughts on things, and then bring it into a realistic conversation.
Great, thanks, Ken. Awesome. We just have a couple of additional mentions. First of all, we have the deadline to submit Howard Hanna luxury properties. That's anything over 749.9. So make sure that your listings are submitted for that luxury program. If you're unsure as to how to handle it, you can reach out to your manager. And so last minute to get those in, make sure you take advantage. Our education update, a lot going on, including the Buffini program starting today in Buffalo and on April 3rd in Rochester. But one thing I wanted to mention and point out is there'll be a town hall, put it on your calendar, for April the 14th. All-star open houses. See some of our all-stars as they walk us through their processes for before, during, and after open houses. In our last few Mondays, we've talked about the strength of opens right now going into the spring market. So again, mark that on your calendar. And also, I don't know if you've seen it come out in your email, but we also have Hanna Happenings that's hitting our email quarterly. So that's great news. So we just received the first quarter issue. Check that out. It came out, I believe it was in Thursday or Friday's email of last week. So we're excited to get that communication. And we all hope that you have an absolutely fabulous week ahead going into April. It's hard to believe. So after the first quarter, again, step back, take a look at where you are, take a look at what your goals are, and hopefully you are on track. Have a great week, everyone, and happy April, happy spring. We'll see you all next week. Take care.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.